Well, good afternoon. I am Jordan Ross. I am a candidate for the constabulary in the township of Laughlin, the Silver State's southernmost point in the entire state of Nevada. I'm running for a really unusual reason. We are an unincorporated town who for 18 years our voting rights were respected. And the advisory poll is taken every 2 years to elect members of our town advisory board. Bruce Woodbury, our county commissioner, had always, with one exception, always respected that. One time he didn't, for one person, he never heard the end of it, and he never made that mistake again. So what happened just recently, with the election, after the elections in 2008, our new county commissioner, Stephen Sisolak, decided that we didn't need to vote for our own town advisory board. And that was taken away from us. Shredded the election, appointed radical left-wing members to the board, and dismissed the people who had actually been elected by the residents. The reason I'm running for constable, among other things, but the primary reason that I'm running for constable is to provide representation to the people in my town. The office of constable, other than judge, judges cannot get involved in public policy issues. The office of constable is the last remaining office locally that the people have the right to vote for, that the county board of commissioners can't simply drop into the trash. And that's what I'm going to do. Until we get our voting rights restored and we either can vote for our own town advisory board again, or we incorporate, which a lot of powerful forces have been fighting to also block. One of the two. Until we get home rule, I will represent the people of the township of Laughlin. And I would love to hear what questions you have for me.
Any questions from the panel?
Dr. Richard Hawkins, how are you going to get them to listen to you?
It's always been difficult. Laughlin is the most geographically isolated part of Clark County. It's an interesting and unusual place. It is to, when you actually get there, it has the look and feel of any suburban community, yet it is 2.5 hours from downtown Las Vegas. It's really, really far away. I have been actively and aggressively involved with politics in Clark County now for a number of years. I'm currently the county whip for the Clark County Republican Party. I was recently vice chair of our county convention, where I presided over all of the business sessions. And I've made a point of making sure that people who are involved in the politics at Clark County and the state legislature are aware that Laughlin exists and that Laughlin has problems. And it's a burden for anybody, and you should never fault people who live in Laughlin for not being deeply involved in politics outside of Laughlin, because it is a tremendous burden. Not everyone, people have a job for that ties them down. People who simply don't have the energy or even the financial resources. Every day time I come up to Las Vegas, it's 5 hours just the round trip and driving here. It kills the whole day. And not everyone has that, actually has the ability and resources to do that. But I do, and I make a point of devoting my time and resources to that. I've been pleased. I've been able to, I see people in the audience today from all across Clark County who I recognize and who recognize me and are familiar with the work that I've done. I'll be leaving next month to go to Reno for the State Central Committee meeting. I've testified before the State Assembly Committee here in Las Vegas on AB 383, which was the Laughlin Corporation bill. So to a great extent, it's simply by, half the job is showing up. Half the job is simply showing up and constantly and endlessly making sure that people understand that Laughlin has problems and issues. Another part of it is making yourself as much a part of the political process as possible, because let's be perfectly honest, that's how a great deal of politics works. And to be able to gain the confidence, trust, and a certain measure of understanding from people, particularly state legislators, who right now are key in our fight for home rule. And that's what I'm spending a lot of time, a lot of time doing.
David Hensey, quick question. What do you really do as a constable? What is your main mission as a constable?
The office itself of constable is one of the oldest in the state of Nevada, and it's also an interesting historical note that it is the only political elective office in the state of Nevada below the county level that's a partisan office. You run first in the Republican or Democratic primary, and then you run in the general election. The immediate responsibilities are essentially, it is a civil enforcement service, and they perform civil service such as subpoenas in civil cases, in the justice, the peace courts, not in the district courts, but in the justice courts. And they also have a lot of unpleasant responsibilities, such as evictions and foreclosures, which is one of the reasons why I really want to see the constable's office in Laughlin become a nexus of consumer information and consumer protection information. Because a lot of the times that people end up having their cars seized or their homes foreclosed on or being evicted from their apartments is because they've gotten into serious financial trouble, particularly in this economy. And there are a lot of things that can aggravate that. Many people, unfortunately, are not good consumers, and there's a lot of consumer education that can help them. People are vulnerable, particularly when they're stressed and times are bad, to consumer fraud. Most especially seniors tend to be taken advantage of. And people are bombarded frequently with warnings from this organization or association or agency or another. But if they see something from the constable's office, or if they know here in our small town, for example, which has just under 8,000 people, that if they're ever concerned about something they see, they think something's not honest or above board, but it's not really clearly criminal, I want them to be able to call the constable's office and to have a bank of volunteers who can work with them to get questions answered for them for protection. I also want to make sure that the recent state law that was passed, particularly really with the urban constabularies like North Las Vegas, and Henderson, and Reno in mind, that allow constables' offices to write citations for vehicles that have out-of-state plates or not registered, to make sure this doesn't get abused in our township. We are not Las Vegas or Henderson. We have a lot of snowbirds, first of all. We have quite a number of people. We are the number 11 community in the country for second homes. We also have about 1.5 million tourists a year. And so I want to make sure that this doesn't become abused in Laughlin as it potentially could be. It makes sense for the urban townships, but it's really something that's got to be very judiciously used in a place like Laughlin.
Juan Rivera. Back to the doctor's question, how will you make the commissioners listen to you?
I think there are a couple of things. First of all, you have to have public presence, and you've got to be able to have access and the ear of media, and I think that I do a moderately good job with that. In addition to which, there's also the end run, because there are more and more legislators now that I'm talking to constantly, who have a clearer understanding of what's happening. We have a situation in which incorporation for Laughlin has been opposed not just simply by the Board of County Commissioners, but the Clark County Firefighters Union, which, as we're all aware of, has been exploiting the compensation plans to the point where there are now 6 firefighters making over $200,000 a year. Would anyone here care to guess where 5 of those 6 firefighters work? They work in the township of Laughlin. I'm going to say something really hard right now. The Clark County Firefighters Union, not management. I got no problem with management. They work hard. They work and they do a good job. The Clark County Firefighters Union has been using my town as a retirement brothel, and I'm tired of it. They exploit loopholes in overtime, and because of their collective bargaining agreement, and collective bargaining agreements are strangling public finances from one end of the state to the other. Because of their collective bargaining agreement, firefighters are allowed to choose their station of assignment based on seniority.